All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty fascinating. It's all about the link between, natural selection and the human body, how it shaped us. We'll be digging into an excerpt that really dives into this, and honestly, it brings up some, well, pretty mind-blowing questions, like can
Yeah.
what we do every day, hitting the gym, actually have a say in evolution?
It really does make you rethink those workout routines, doesn't it? Makes you wonder what kind of impact you're
Oh,
having.
it totally does.
Yeah.
So before we get too deep into it, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. When we talk about natural selection, what exactly are we talking about? You always hear survival of the fittest, but it's got to be more than that.
Absolutely. It's more nuanced for sure. Think of it like this. The environment's like a filter. It favors the individuals with the traits, the characteristics that make them better suited to survive and, importantly, reproduce. Those who make it through, they pass on their genes, right? And that influences what future generations will look like. It's not always about being the strongest or fastest. It's about having what works best for that specific environment.
It's like nature's quality control, picking the best features.
Mm.
And speaking of features, this excerpt, it dives into some super interesting examples of how natural selection has, well, shaped us, shaped human anatomy. Like it talks about how skin color, all the variations, is a direct result of this process.
Exactly. Think about it. People who, over generations, evolved in those sunny equatorial regions, they developed darker skin. Why? Protection. It's a shield from those harmful UV rays. And then you've got people in less sunny places. Absorbing enough vitamin D was the challenge there, so lighter skin evolved. It's amazing how natural selection fine-tunes things, gets populations to thrive in their own specific environments.
It really shows how adaptable we are, how we've changed over time to fit different conditions.
Yeah.
And it's not just skin color, right? The excerpt also mentions how body size and shape are results of natural selection, too.
Oh, definitely. A great example, the Inuit people. They live in those frigid Arctic regions, right? So their build, it's compact, stocky, perfect for keeping warm. And flip that, head to hotter climates, and what do you see? Leaner physiques, much better at dissipating heat. It all comes back to adapting, meeting the demands of the environment.
We're basically walking, talking examples of evolution in action. But here's the big question, the one that really got me thinking. Can we influence this whole process? Can we have a say in it? The source we're looking at today throws out a really interesting idea. It suggests that consistent exercise, hitting the gym regularly, if that happens over generations, it could actually lead to evolutionary changes.
No, that's where things get really interesting. Makes you wonder if today's gym habits are shaping, well, the bodies of future generations.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I actually spoke with the author, Sean, about this. His book, Zero Fitness FucX, has a great analogy. Imagine, like, generations of people all consistently doing squats. Could that actually change, like visibly change,
Yeah.
the leg structure of their descendants? It's a pretty wild thought.
It really is. But of course, it's not a simple yes or no answer. Our genes and the environment, they're constantly interacting, are a really complex relationship. We need more research to say for sure.
Right? And Sean acknowledges that in the book. But still, just the possibility that something as simple as exercise could have that kind of impact, that long-term effect, is pretty amazing. It really makes you think about the bigger picture, the long game of it all.
It does. It kind of challenges that idea that evolution is this slow, passive thing we have no control over. Maybe we're more involved in shaping our evolutionary path than we realize.
And speaking of being active, I think it's time for us to take a little break ourselves, recharge a bit. We'll be back to dig deeper into this after a quick word from our sponsor.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a flash to explore more about how natural selection and human evolution are all tied together.
And remember, hydration is key. Primus 3. Performance-enhancing electrolytes. It's a great way to replenish and recover after your workouts, even just a long day. Primus 3. Performance. Hydration. Results. Now, back to the deep dive.
Welcome back, everybody. We were just talking about how things we do, like exercise, could actually influence evolution. It's a pretty wild idea when you really think about it.
Yeah, it is. And when you think about it that way, it's kind of like it adds another layer of responsibility to our choices. I mean, we're not just shaping our own bodies, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we're influencing the future of the whole human species.
It's a pretty humbling thought, isn't it? And it's not just exercise. This excerpt, it also talks about the gut microbiome and how what we eat really influences it.
Oh, right. Sean, in Zero Fitness FucX,
Right.
he really breaks it down. Explains how there are trillions of bacteria just living in our gut and how they play a huge role in, well, everything. digestion, immunity. It's like a whole hidden world inside us.
It really is. And what's fascinating is that what we eat, it really influences the type of bacteria that grow in there. Different foods can encourage different bacteria, and well, that can have a big impact on our health.
Sean uses a great metaphor for this. He compares the gut microbiome to a garden. He says if you just feed it junk food, it's going to be overtaken by weeds. But if you take care of it, give it healthy food, then you end up with a diverse ecosystem. And that can benefit your whole body.
That's a perfect analogy. And it makes you think, could eating healthy, if you do it for generations, could that lead to, like an inherited, efficient gut? Could future generations just inherit a better gut because of us?
That's a great question. Like, are we passing down a legacy of good gut health to our kids and grandkids just because we're making good food choices today?
Well, it's definitely a possibility. Research on the gut microbiome is still pretty new, but there's more and more evidence that the bacteria we get from our parents, they have a huge impact on our health. So yeah, maybe all those consistent healthy choices, over time, maybe they could actually change the microbiome, how it works, what it's made up of, and that could lead to some real advantages for future generations.
Wow, imagine inheriting a gut that's just like amazing at digesting food and absorbing nutrients. It would be like a superpower for health.
Yeah, it would be pretty incredible.
We're back, and man, what a conversation. Natural selection in the human body. It's really amazing just thinking about how this force, this invisible thing, has shaped us over millions of years. And now, like, what we do today could be shaping the future of humanity. Wild, right?
It really does make you see how connected everything is. Genes, environment, the choices we make. It's all this intricate, dance of evolution all happening together.
Like a relay race, passing the baton from one generation to the next. And what we do during our turn, it could have a big impact down the line.
Totally. It makes you feel, well, humbled and also kind of empowered. Like, we're not just along for the ride. We can actually influence where this whole evolutionary journey goes.
One thing that really hit me when reading Zero Fitness FucX was how our modern lifestyle, it might be creating some new evolutionary pressures. Like, we're sitting all the time now, way more than ever before. Could that change our posture, our skeletal structure even over time?
I think it's definitely a possibility. Our bodies are so good at adapting, responding to what we do with them. So if we're constantly, hunched over computers or staring at our phones, well, it wouldn't be surprising to see some evolutionary changes because of that.
And our diets. We have so much food available to us, more than ever. But a lot of it's processed, not that nutritious. Could that be changing how our digestive systems evolve, our metabolisms?
Those are great questions. And they're exactly what scientists are researching right now. The way our genes, our environment, and our choices interact, it's so complex, it's going to take time to figure it all out.
Makes you wonder, right? What will humans be like thousands of years from now? Will we, evolve to be perfectly adapted to our sedentary, tech-filled lives? Or will we figure out how to, be healthy and stay active in our modern routines so evolution takes a different path?
It's pretty exciting to imagine all the possibilities. The human story, it's still being written, and we all have a part in the next chapter. If we understand what shaped us, the forces that got us here, and we make good choices for our health and well-being, well, we can be active participants in how our species evolves.
That's a really powerful thought. Well, I think we've covered a lot today, explored some really interesting stuff. Hopefully our listeners are leaving with a new appreciation for just how amazing the human body is, how adaptable, and, the potential we all have to shape its future.
Absolutely. It's been a great conversation, a fascinating exploration. And for everyone listening, keep asking those questions, keep learning, and keep making choices that support your health and the health of future generations, too.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into natural selection and the human body. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.